So please be settled and ready to welcome Rinpoche to our Zoom. For different language translation, we have English, Vietnamese, Chinese, and Japanese room. Please select your own language to come in your language room to hear the teachings. English is the main room. So for English speakers, you do not need to choose any room. Just remain there. Please turn off your audio button during the retreat until there is a request from organizer to ask you to turn on the audio. For the people in the panelists, you can turn on your video during the retreat so that Garchen Rinpoche can see you. But please turn off your audio. If you have any question or need any assistance, please type in the chat box and there will be the people from organizer to help you. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome, Dozin Dundrup Rinpoche.
I see you here. Now we waiting Guru. Welcome, Guru.
이바위 상가 다시 되래 돈들 뭐지 다시 되래
Tashi Delek, Garchen Rinpoche, and Tashi Delek, the Venerable Dozin Dundrup Rinpoche, on behalf of the organizer, Drikung Garchen Phuntsok Choling, and all participants of the second online 100 million money retreat, we would like to say Tashi Delek to His Eminent Garchen Rinpoche. We are and Venerable Dozin Dundrup Rinpoche. We are so fortunate to have you to bestow the precious 1,000 arm Chenrezig empowerment today, and then the teaching on 4 yogas of Mahamudra during the retreat in the following days. On this occasion, we would like to thank you, His Eminent Garchen Rinpoche and Venerable Dozin Dundrup Rinpoche, who will together jointly leading the money retreat. It is very auspicious opportunity, and we thank you, Guru, very much. We are now all ready to receive His Eminent Garchen Rinpoche research, instruction, and empowerment. Thank you.
We'll begin with the opening prayers in the Yellow Prayer Book on page 1. All Mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Mandala offering. An infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms, if I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine. By offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping. Completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and concepts of arising, cessation, and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial. The Supreme Mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Deva Da Kini Ratna Mandala Prakticha Swoha. Namo. To the Guru, the utter purity of all appearance and existence, I offer all appearance and existence arisen as the primordial ground. I supplicate you. May the 3 realms be completely liberated. Please grant blessings to empty samsara from its depths. Lord with 5 omniscient wisdoms, crown ornament, kind one with loving nature, precious protector of beings, heart of all Buddhas, inexpressible by words or thought, I supplicate you from the core of my mind. Bless me from within the state of Dharmata. Bless me to realize this mind, primordially pure and unborn as the unfathomable Dharmakaya. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the greater and lesser vehicles and the teachings common to both according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
sem진 탐체로 사바다지와 사바 체미 발 sem진 탐체로 다시들이 쇼이지 들이 태양들이 다 다른 뜻인 섬섬 남마사제 박강이되는 들이면서 바바냐미 제박감이 시작이오래 죽을까다 강을 롱거를 선합들이 죽거리 들이다는 데이 감나더니 사지 착잡하면 무슨 매열러서 통치세 페르티지 들이 페르티 지금 콜로고 산지가 땜발 뭐지 이 마샤와다 이렇게 받지듯이 쌈좀 잡아 짜치 뭔데라 들이면서 들이 파파토지 제목이 왕가고 고갑 고들 토파들이 라지니가 또 탐지서 남지 머리 들이대로 토마가 안 나오지.
To all the Dharma friends in the Sangha who's joining us on a live stream, and with immeasurable love for all sentient beings, Dashidele to all sentient beings. Now, so today we're starting a very precious time of in a Buddhist a special day, special month, and so. In the Vajrakalaya practice, it says from the Dharmakaya, like the grace of the Dharmakaya is the Sambhogakaya, and the blessing of the Sambhogakaya is the Nirmanakaya. And in this world, the Nirmanakaya, Buddha Shakyamuni, appeared directly as a human being that could be seen. And he turned the wheel of Dharma and he taught the precious teachings. And these teachings then spread around the world like the rising sun. And so this happened in this special month. And so for this reason, this time is extremely precious. And also, it is a great merit for yourself and also for myself, for others and oneself, that we have this opportunity today to confer and receive the empowerment of the great compassionate one, Chenrezig. And so in the beginning, therefore, we should all rejoice in that.
오늘 담이들로 소사에 가가되면 사례들이 심지를 사제 성노를 사제를 심지 성노를 심지를 사제 성노를 강의들이 이제 말에 배송을 해서 다답을 세고 내려더니 뭐 빨리 죽은 용데 사제 답지 죽어를 놓는데 다답 비시는 것도 죽어를 놓는 죽은 남 같아 들어올라 김조요래 들이 믿으러요 말 너지 장데 들이 디와니를 놓고 상서 들이 첨부도 빠들 디와 첨부요래 들이 앞에서 사제 첨부를 들어서 보는데 디와 첨부 디와니를 놓고 정데 첨 무슨 남이 제너들이 사제 첨부 거기서 네 대선부터 섬묘를 들이 뭐또 빠들 죽어 정지 생각도 몇 바트를 죽어주고 더니 대화니를 놓고 정지 놓고 대화들이 삼체를 좀 첨부 요래 대회는 들이다가 라탐지 삼바탕 hin기를 지니 좋아하리 들이 생각한 거 다 아주 셈줄 안지 되시나 들이 셈도 산지 장 습지산 산지니서 사지 좀 되게 송하지 자로 너도 네 철에서 사지 좀 되게 돼서 말이 능리래 대하고 그러지. 내 각 차통들은 나 이제 나기니지를 성요래. 내려지 쳐대 작롱을 성요래. 강에 나기 됐더니 남주 상못다 그래. 내려지 다다 드리텔 파산지스지 니성 초당 작롱 니성 냠토당 작롱 니도 빼세르더니 이때 장로한테 쉬어버렸더니 다 조울했더니 쉬고래. 생각난 거 조울했더니 사바타 hin기했다 그래. hin기했더니 산지에 탐지했더니 사바타 hin기했더니 당고 산쪽 저도 톡지들은 상지에도 사바타 hin기했더니 상지에 그래 데레들이 산쪽 저도 톡지들 이 라드 사바타 hin기는 거라서 소리 또 바빠지 내서 그래. 이때 저 바빠지 내서 사탐지에 사탐지들이 빠따가 차대 오래된 메주도 효과를 따면서 용띠 매와 탐지가 강해들이 들이 삼바다 hin기를 마티니 상기에 탑요 말이 탑요 말이 대회들이 다 삼바다 hin기라도 다 바빠 지내서리 대회들이 세배들이 사동 띵동 때라서 와 파티동 나 사동 콜로지가 자고 동들이 들이 롱가다 쪽쪽 담에 버스지 동세에 발라 콩글라 와동 맥도 찍고 말이 세배리 성하다다 탑에서 봐서 들이 왕되고 소에 대선지 사지 탐지가 톡 나더니 봐봐 지내더니 왕보요래 들이가 와서 보래.
And so we tend to think that the Buddha is so precious. However, the Buddha is also so far away from us. And we speak about a Buddha appearing in every aeon, in every kalpa. And there is infinite Buddhas that appear in each of those aeons. So when we think of Buddha in this way, it seems that Buddha is something that is so far away from us. And so from from the one hand, there is this outer Buddha that appeared. So we can say, on the one hand, it is untrue because there was this Buddha who first cultivated the mind of bodhicitta, and then he accumulated merit throughout 3 endless aeons, and then he finally attained complete enlightenment. But now saying that he accumulated merit throughout 3 endless aeons, what does that actually mean? It is the motivation of bodhicitta. The Buddha arises from this mind. So for this reason, often it is said that the Buddhas arise from sentient beings, through sentient beings, and then sentient beings arise also through Buddhas. And so Milarepa had said that from the state of non-conceptuality arises the Dharmakaya. And also it is said elsewhere that within the expanse of primordial wisdom, all the Buddhas are one. So the Dharmakaya is the space-like nature of the mind. And the Buddha and all, in the end, dissolve back into this open expanse, the space of the Dharmakaya. So when one attains enlightenment, one dissolves into this space of Dharmakaya, but one does not just go out of existence. One becomes a Buddha, Vajradhara, and so one continues to remain. So from non-conceptuality arises the Dharmakaya, and then from bliss arises the Sambhogakaya, because first, the non-conceptual mind is indeed a very blissful state. Now, when we practice Mahamudra and similar practices, we experience great bliss within our minds. And from great bliss, it is said, Milarepa said, then the Sambhogakaya arises. So all of us who practice meditation, such as Mahamudra, we know about these meditative experiences that arise. There are basically 3: the experience of bliss, clarity, and non-conceptuality or non-thought. And so from this non-thought, this non-conceptuality, arises the realization of the Dharmakaya. So this non-conceptual state is the thought-free mind. And the thought-free mind is blissful. And from that bliss then arises the Sambhogakaya. And bliss, or the Sambhogakaya, is also connected to love very much. So all the deities, therefore, arise really from a mind of love and compassion. Now, when we speak about the nature of the mind, so this is maybe how I explain it. But first, how the Buddha said. The Buddha said that all beings are actually Buddhas. Although their mind actually is Buddha, they have not recognized that. And so my example is that even though sentient beings are Buddhas, their mind is like an ice block. And ice, so what the Buddha really is saying is that ice is actually water. So that is the point that we need to understand. And so it is this concept of a self, this perception of me, that has led to the perception of self and other, a dualistic existence. So ice has arisen from water because the weather has gotten cold. So it's just like that. So this is the relation between the Buddhas and sentient beings. It's just like ice and water, or like an ocean. And so if you want to melt the ice, you need heat. And the heat, the warmth within the mind is love and compassion. And that is where all Buddhas come from. That is really Buddha. That's why we say in the beginning, the Buddha cultivated the motivation of bodhicitta. And as a result of that, he finally attained enlightenment. So really the Buddhas arise from love and compassion, from bodhicitta. And that is the essence of the deity. And so which deity then is really the very embodiment of bodhicitta? It is the noble Chenrezig. And for this reason, it is also said that Chenrezig is the father of all the deities. So this is how I would put it in simple terms for those like myself who don't have so much learning. And so in any case, there is no way that we can attain enlightenment without love and compassion. And because this is the absolutely indispensable ingredient for enlightenment, it is, and Chenrezig is the embodiment of it. It is said that Chenrezig is the father of all the deities. And so one outer representation of Chenrezig is, for instance, the 1,000-armed, 1,000-eyed Chenrezig. And so this is how he appears to us as Sambhogakaya, arising from the expanse of the Dharmakaya. And so from the expanse of the Dharmakaya, there appear limitless forms of Sambhogakayas, actually, and of Nirmanakayas, all in order to benefit sentient beings. So that is really also what this image represents of 1,000 arms and 1,000 eyes. It is this limitless appearance to benefit sentient beings. So it's not simply something that has 1,000 eyes and 1,000 arms, but it's a symbol. It's symbolic of these inconceivable activities. And in the Vajrayana, in the secret mantra, this is a skillful method to introduce. And so today, this is the empowerment that we are going to receive, the empowerment of the noble Chenrezig, who really is an embodiment of all the Buddha's enlightened mind. We are indeed all very fortunate.
Gelongma Pamati, Dira Koa Chimbo Yore, Dunged Yapoima, Dunged the Chaking in song, did the Milan Bell somebody, literally, Tobacco Disunguna, Natan Denham, Drikung the Tanginam, Drikung Mosangi Yore, the Latin, Dungiratini, Talcoma, Total Mambo Yore, the Dungi said, the Kase Chena, Dadi Tessa said, Yore. Dungi get up, Dadi said, Dadi Korang to give Raji of a Hakone, 3 of the chapter. Oh, Koa the Dungi are Dungi to come Koa it. Koa comes to Koa Dadi and Munji to Yore. Then it turned out that maybe to the Dungi to thought to Yore. The little the Gelongma on the Anthony, Giant Dodgy Pamitra, but was it in Mele Peg on a young? It's a ginger tone, but they got that doing it, they were give a tap somebody, the tap, Tamology, the cell over in.
And generally speaking, samsara is an ocean of suffering. But it is not necessarily a negative thing. Dzogchen Batu Rinpoche had said, I prefer not to be happy, and I prefer to suffer. Because when I'm happy, then when I suffer, then I purify. When I'm happy, when I suffer, then I am purifying my negative karma. And when I'm happy, the 5 poisons, the afflictive emotions, increase. So actually, from a Buddhist perspective, suffering has many good qualities. And in Buddhism, we are given a method to transform suffering into happiness. If we are not able to do that, then we will even turn happiness into suffering. Then everything becomes suffering. So basically, one cancels the other. If there's happiness, there's no suffering. If there's suffering, there's no happiness. But also, what we do is that so there is either a way to find happiness through suffering, or to find sufferings even through happiness. And so in the Buddhist way, we turn our suffering into happiness. And so we will next read the history of this empowerment, and it's the story of Gelongma Palmo, who experienced much suffering and who practiced the deity Chenrezig. And also, she's really an Nirmanakaya who actually appeared in the human world. And then to her, the Sambhogakaya, Chenrezig, directly appeared. And through this story, we can understand that suffering is actually not a negative thing. It purifies our negative karmas and our obscurations. Also, Jigme Lingpa had said that suffering actually is like a stepping stone in our Dharma practice. And also Lord Chigden Sumgun, he also had the same illness as Gelongma Palmo, so he had leprosy, and finally he accepted. And it is through acceptance, really, that he ultimately then attained enlightenment. There's so many individuals who have attained liberation through suffering. Because sometimes the greater the suffering is, the more self-clinging actually becomes eliminated, dissolves. And self-clinging or self-grasping itself, that itself is actually what is suffering by nature. What is suffering is self-grasping. And so an intelligent person would recognize that and see that samsara is suffering. And the source of samsaric suffering is the self, is the grasping at a self. So such a person, through suffering, will be able to identify the self within them, the self-clinging within them. And in that way, it is really through their suffering that ultimately they will realize selflessness. So Gelongma Palmo also was such a practitioner who completely became liberated from her misery and finally in the end attained the rainbow body, the state of Vajrayogini. And so she's an actual Nirmanakaya who came in this world to benefit sentient beings, to give this method, to show this method of transforming suffering into happiness. So next, before the empowerment, I will first read the historical account of this empowerment.
대양 자정 도제 파모상 예맘치 배더니 gelongma 파모더니 어딘제 잡고 인다버지 세물 거청식 공로 제담 이버체 제형 철딩 철딩 날람데 라카르신 버드 소나 렉 이버롱티 토ken 야르시베 땅데 라카르신 버드 소네 기네즈 거니자베 체 그녀니 제시 맞춘 들마도 이 준비 교육 거니네 교육 거니네 도도 촉기성을 송송 송송 받더니 요거 날람데 파관으로 니지 얍 파관나무로 이게 얍 인다 보들라 에라 보리 잡지기에 오 파관나무로 이게 얍 인다 보지 잡지기에 제시게 조제 체랍들 사갈 기내서 배 롱마대의 풍부 롱마대의 퍼소나 파관나서 gelong식 gelong식 요거 제일 기내서 다마 슈라 로준이서 건나 내래 탈때 초금으로 톱 지송의 어디에 어디지 가도 좀을 시바 용대 대단 제네 지네의 로준이스 드베 랭이 랑니 조세 체송에 카나니 타동증 루고 걸메시바 장로 송하다 종바지의 드베 납정 말람데 어디지 가로만만보 동들라데 늘 마도발 칼싱버드 송라 드바 로준이 네 접당 로준이네 어디지 가도 좀 도지 파모 따오는 여러 시종에 뉴지 제신 걸머니베 정신네베 카로세다기 딱대 라카싱벨 제라미니 세번몰 라카싱 퍼서 무스 세요바다 델로 주니 저 파파 드바 파파 드베 름적한 당니 마드브 사망보 샤르제 지라 남칸이 오체 뭐체 수마나 게노마 공발라 네 다라 누지치든 도베 땡가 화이 나오고 도르게 남카테 베 랍신남 달 조카르 탐지 조카르노 탄라 파탄 소마사 오글러야남 공베 도지스 오도테베 잠소 초전 톡 럽신당 사령 받고 독재의 신이 쏘았다베 어때를 조 쭉쭉 사동 어찌도 저와라 쏘와 내반 세제 다그 유능도 조 럽장 다 받을 샤 마석바 독재의 총시시버세 파고 샤네 초당보 르바티니 다 체제 정도 수모제 랭이지 르바 마다 bellinge 망통만 인송바 이 마치버 값을 동다선 파고 거에 매요 대비 제라 gelongma 뉴지 값을 뉴지 값 서포스는 비트게 칼루당 칼루당 낙차 소 통리 도의지신 조금 그렇게 top 파창보다 탑지 좁아 내일 얍얍불로 대통집에 살을 이랑거 월제지 남팔번에 니색주베 날 원자를 세대 파모 없게 말이야 타바 되니 타바 되니 제베 끼리지 기서 나와 사와라 되니 네 다들이 다다 누네다 니네 다타요리 누원네 버초가 리격 세베平庸장 까빠 제시게 동거 듣반다고 송봐서 제발도 파고 내지반네 파파티네들 게롱마 palmo 베르다 다와 존 베르다 이시장보 바보 베냐와 상세 다와 점신 상세 다와 점신 녀파파 추제 잡바 롱바 도디 잡고 상도 장제 기기 들어와 상신 대치 추장 대치 추장 상첩 히랍바바 세 도미 역시 소나왕 우소나랑 보소남지 달지 소남 점소 똑바소나마 건가 조점 정군도초 도는 빵 따라 나사를 지점소 이시장소 로리 넘버 자왕 왕철 고상왕보 제왕으로 전례생다 까마군차 Chu Parazon Budget to Payment Johnson, taking Mahamudra, Ramzon Chini no Gachite Johnson, Savarama, she just Lord Tanga to talk to me, and the whole Del Masopa, the Lama Jology, and Teta.
And then the history in English. Indivisible in essence from Vajrayogini, Gelongma Palmo was the daughter of the king of Udayana, Indrapati. At a young age, she contracted leprosy, and once she had a dream in which she received a prophecy to travel to the Kasarpani jungle. She asked her father for permission, and he sent her off. When she arrived there, she came to a temple that was housing a Chenrezig statue. Although the gatekeeper didn't allow her to enter, the Chenrezig statue told her to stay outside the temple. One night she dreamt of a young boy that was actually her father. He said to her that her principal deity is Chenrezig and that she should travel to the east to find a monk who was an emanation of Chenrezig to receive his instructions on the practice of Chenrezig. The boy said that if she devoted herself to the practice of Chenrezig for 12 years, her illness would be cured. She would attain supreme siddhi and become the chief Dakini of Udayana. When she practiced Chenrezig at first, her sickness and pain increased. After 11 years, blood and pus were flowing from her mouth and nose, and she couldn't move her body any longer. Nevertheless, she persevered in practice. One night, she dreamt of many Udayana Dakinis who told her not to stay here, but to return to Kasarpani and practice there. And then they said she would become Vajrayogini for most of the Udayana Dakinis. Gelongma Palmo replied that she would not be able to go there because she couldn't move her body any longer. In her sleep, the Dakinis miraculously carried her off, and when she awoke, she found herself in Kasarpani. There she practiced Chenrezig for 12 years and progressively healed from her illness. Eventually, she began to see various other deities. Once she supplicated Chenrezig and a bright light appeared. She wondered what this might be, and then she beheld the 11-faced, 1,000-armed, 1,000-eyed Chenrezig. She said, "I have been practicing you for many years, waiting for you to appear, and only now can I see you. You surely have little compassion for me." Chenrezig replied, "I have been with you from the very beginning, from the time you started praying to me, but due to your obscurations, you were unable to see me." He showed her his robes, which were stained with all her blood and pus of many years. After that, she gave rise to trust and finally attained the supreme siddhi. To uphold the Siddha lineage, she took the Siddha Patsangpa as her consort. This was very upsetting to her father, the king, who developed many doubts. To dispel his doubts, she severed her own head, and casting it into the sky, she said, "If I have broken any vows, then my head shall not return, otherwise it shall." And so it did. Her head returned to her neck like before. Thus she became known as the Vajravarahi with the severed head. Chenrezig revealed to her the ascetic fasting practice of the 1,000-armed Chenrezig, and so this is where the tradition of the Nune started, and told her that one who engages in this practice for just a single time will purify all negativities and obscurations accumulated in 84,000 kalpas. So then after that, Rinpoche read the names of all the lineage gurus, and he said Rinpoche himself had received the empowerment from the Mahasiddha Jime Dorje.
Kong Nyungni, Nepa Bakani, the Karatan Sanyamene, the Tikap the Yamin Water, Nyungne, Nyungwan Nepa, Nipa Nepa, the Mutanata Mepa Kanta, Tamjigate, Tanga, the Kungsas of what you're young, Nipa Nepa, the Nata Mepa, Nipa, the children, the subject, Nini, Nata Matan Chepare. Data were not in each other, the Roger, Manshake, 가시 하고 뭐 로지들이 제사오지나 데이터다 왕진다 집당들이 다른 당에 제들이 좀 불가해서 박차죠마 내려들이 구성하고 왕성 박차시 빠데 가르쳐 줘고 요리는 박차 조사대 샘들 나오냐마 남카도 마스 다음에 받아 나오냐마들이 박제가 빠져서 록타로 빠소로 버리 소로 들이 뒤들 박차 가르치는 유몽 동아지 유몽도 되지 나딘데 유몽은 되와 들이 때려 빠잡으면 대 양절 제와서라 터지 서로 양절은 코로디 랑가 제바랑은 코로고 때문에 서쪽에 들어 잡기를 말이 대 통미들이 다다다 로아르도 거다 참 들량들이 애들 저도 샘 코는 되시 좀 보래 서연아들이 가까이 올 말이 샘지 남는 상계니서 여기 돈을 샘 잡아서 대기지 뭐여래 들이다당 것도 관건 것도 아이지.
And so what's the difference between the Nune and the Nyingne? So Nyung actually is an honorific word for being sick. And Gelongma Palmo was very sick. And when she was very sick, she couldn't even eat anymore. And it was at that time of such hardship that she practiced. So that's where this term Nyungne comes from. So Nyung means to be sick, and Ne means to abide or to stay. So she stayed with her sickness. And so basically, therefore, Nyungne also then means it's a practice that causes discomfort. And Nyingne, on the other hand, is the lighter practice that doesn't causes lighter discomfort. So the Nyingne practice, the vows are similar, but so we also remain in silence, but we can eat lunch, but not after midday. So there's less of a hardship. So that's the difference between the Nyingne and the Nune. And it's good for you to hear the history. Many of you might know it, but many of you might not know it, and I wanted to make it clear. And so now for the empowerment, the purpose of the empowerment, the 3 levels of empowerment of body, speech, and mind, is to purify the karmic imprints, the defilements of body, speech, and mind. So what is this imprint, and how do we place this imprint into our mind? So first of all, the place where we put imprints is our own mind. And the imprint ultimately is to see a self. There's this me. So mind actually is like empty space. So it is like beginning to perceive some entity that is a self within empty space, and that which doesn't actually exist. So these imprints is forming imprints or placing imprints in the mind is just like taking a picture or filming something with a camera and then storing it in the camera roll, and that's where it stays stored. So whatever imprints, whatever habitual patterns we are accustomed to, the 3 poisons, the various afflictions, each of these actions is like taking a picture that is stored in the mind. And then in future lifetimes, over and over again, the film that we have filmed ourselves becomes projected to us as our experience. And so therefore it's no one else that is really doing something for us or is counting our karmas, but it is naturally we're doing it to ourselves. Whatever imprint we put in our mind becomes projected back to us as our experience. And in this way we wander in the 6 realms of samsara until all karma has come to an end. When karma has come to an end, then there is still Buddha nature. And then we realize that we have never been separate from Buddha. That's why the Buddha himself said that sentient beings are actually Buddhas. So in brief, it's important that we purify the mind. And so now we will start with the empowerment.
Om Beda Sato Samane Balaya Beda Sato De No Ba De Ta De Do Me Ba Sate Kayo Me Ba Wa Sabe Chayo Me Ba Anara to me bawa sawa se de me bai sawa kama sata me atatan chi angkolo hong ha 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 ho banga sawa tatang tatang be da ma me me da be da ba ma sama sa do ma sawa da anga da be ki ga de sama jere ye ho ma ha ya jo ho be ma so ba jo do 소바와죠 다와 도망을 오면서 그런 보지요 저 자체와는 도마 어디 좋아라서 도망다녀 도밤에 바삭밤에 베대와 제발 제제 반랑 하다나야 봐줘 엄마가 엄마가 들어와도 아디안에 베나데도 엄마 배서 엄마가 엄마가 들어와도 만나들 나디도 엄마 배서 엄마가 엄마가 들어와도 만나들 베나데도 엄마 Besoa no Mazala Gana Avalo, Pedome Samara Samara Hong and the Mazala Avalo, Ganome Samara Samara Hong and the Mazala Avalogane, Ume Samara Samara Hong, Jumara Yama, Sabala, Jiwa, the Zambala, Samara, the Jiwa Conjamela, Samdala, the Jiwa, the Dragana. Samsalo kan se mojo ay jumano ga jada da so bojo ni so da se je na bana do ju che ke ba sone da de da de la to man do ja ja la hu da de je jo mo ju ban de yang ge la ni ba sam ba jo da se je na pi be sam de je ba je ji da na ju jo je na se je yang da da na to ba ju mo ko na je mo Gelongma ji te ya chang ji ya te se je mo ju ka me so da ko na ji Ragadula pelo, Yina Nibama, the Jom Jimbo, Chonga, Lelangomano, the Netherang, so Nether, you are so to la, don't you like a necessary Sava, but Tatana, me, Mesomara, the man on Jana, Rana Baya, and the whole Baya. Rangoli want to serve Toga, get someone you remember, you know what about your soul, so top to the Chucking Bavara to what the Dodge because of the year and the lovely water of the Dodge Saga. Log girls on them, the Dodge Charge, more than Saga Patan, the Dodge, so Dodge, so she be bone. Partame Mababa to better not to borrow you, and then better about better. Being done with the Taka Rapital and get better than a shadow to run some on better than like a home. That is it. Kamera kung yung porsa di ang tartar sanga di mirati tri kachimbo yore tri ata mirana ni tada jemele larut da sumba di mirati to da muni di tana yore tri mirati da ta o da ji sa ji samai pe samaya po phoko sa ore sam te na bin ba che yore e mari san nang sang sam mirati ta to na il mirale che ti amici tutti mirate da ya progress.
And next we come to the mandala offering. We've already offered a mandala before. We offer one again. The mandala offering is really important in the Vajrayana, and we will recite the mandala offering according to Jetsimila Ripa's Guru Yoga practice, because the actual meaning of mandala offering is actually contained within that mandala offering. Most of the other mandala offerings, where everything is visualized as pure and nice, so makes us think that there's this pure ground, everything is pure, and so therefore I must offer something that's really pure, but actually not, because the mandala has an outer, inner, and also a secret aspect. And so that is explained very clearly in the mandala that we are going to recite. And this one is also related to actual practice.
the Menda, the purple cups at any one long to check capsule, Lama Kang on the give on the tickably, the give telatony, soap the Sanjay Sancho, so you go also the Sama Sangayo, got to get you some jet Sangayo, some Tamchi Tamjet Sangayo, total Sanjay Tamjet Sangayo, Sana, repeat the Bachebori, cheers and have a chair do your. They say, oh, they Lama Kaka so sorry. The Saturday, the Gelongma was something, the Tunchebo Yore, that are Masambaki Chimbo Yore.
And so also, whenever we offer a mandala, whether it is when we receive an empowerment or a transmission or a Dharma teaching, and no matter who is the Lama or the Guru, the spiritual teacher who gives those teachings, when you offer the mandala, you should think that that spiritual teacher embodies all the Buddhas of the 10 directions. And also, all the 3 jewels are complete within this teacher. And that is the Sangha is complete within the body, and all the Dharma teachings are complete within the speech, and the mind of all the Buddhas is complete within his mind. If you think in this way, then their practice will be much more powerful, and the blessings of the Dharma will increase more and more. So otherwise, if you think that every Lama, every teacher is a separate individual, and then you think that, oh, he is from the Saga and he is from the Gelongma and so on, thinking that way actually is a huge fault. It's important that you don't think that way.
In the yellow prayer book on page 7, Mandala offering. An infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms. If I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in time to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine, by offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping, completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and concepts of arising, cessation, and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial. The Supreme Mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Deva Dakini Ratna Mandala Pratitya Svoha.
Ni Papa Chenrezig, Zoya Metin, Namkaka, Jusum Sanjay Samji, the Phuntsok, the Wang Show you, the Wang San Haviantini, Nipu Tamchila, Namkada, Jumbadan Jasumta, the Chapapata, Tokyo, Nagal, Malag, Papachi Borsa, Amado, etc. Some of them were.
And now imagine that in the space before you, in front of you, appears the noble Chenrezig in the center, and think that he is surrounded by all the Buddhas of the 3 times, gathering around him like clouds, and think that in their presence you receive the empowerment. And also then later when you receive the empowerment, think that the blessings of the empowerment permeate the entire universe and all sentient beings. And just like rain falling down from the clouds in the sky, or like rainbows appearing in the sky. So don't think that the empowerment is you only receive the empowerment through the vase that I place on your crown.
Partly Lame, Kadinchi, Dala Jinang, Sardoso.
In English, all the Buddhas of the 3 times, and the glorious Guru, who in essence is the favored deity, please grant me the empowerment. So then next, please repeat the supplication prayer, which is called the 5 purities, where we take refuge in the 3 jewels. We confess all negative deeds. We rejoice in the virtues of others. And we cultivate the bodhicitta, and we dedicate all these virtues for the enlightenment of all beings. So please repeat the following.
Da Jamji, Dekpa Mege, So Sorsha, Rove Gela, Ji Rang, Sangye Tangche, Yi Ji Zong, Sangye Chudan, Som Chola, Changche Parde, Da Jamji, Rangi Tony, Rabdrup Sir, Tanchup Semne, Keeparje, Tanchup Choga, Semne Jeep Gine, Semjin Samje, Daki Rondo Nier, Tanchup Chungjo, Yong Keeparje, Rola Pinser, In
English, I take refuge in the 3 jewels and confess all evil and non-virtuous deeds. I rejoice in the virtues of all beings and will hold the Buddha's awakening in mind. Until attaining awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly in order to fully accomplish the purpose of others and myself. I give rise to bodhicitta, having given rise to the mind of Supreme Awakening. I welcome all beings. I will practice the supreme bodhisattva conduct that is pleasing to all. May I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings.
Do Jin Zhen Ba Gong Se So Da Nian Zhuo La Pei Dong De Zuo Qin Chu La Song Dev Ji Cha Jie Yi Xi Ji De So.
So then in English, switching texts. So, okay, oops. Vajra holder, please heed me. For the benefit of beings, I supplicate you, exalted one, please cause the wisdom mudra to arise. So that's for the form empowerment.
There is other that Sanji Kucherum Tamchenani da Rangal Lai Shire, the Sachimbolori, the Terengish, like Domba de Guna, the Latani, Jawa something can be young, but the Joran Zongadi, they Renisa Kalian Chatsong, the Lariang, the Sasso, 10 Cambodia, the Sanch in the Kabashi Jali. 디바들이 디시레데 디네지 나시레 라마리 또 디시레데 참에 다작한 랑드니 흥망한 니가 봐마 뭐 퓨어를 로망탄제라 이도 가봐 하자서 아치 버리더니 디시레데 양 셈을 샷나 라이지는 들사고 연구열이 되는지 그런 거 봐도 하자서 아치 버리 다음에 저거랑 좀 가진 거 봐야지.
For the generation stage, the visualization of a deity, most important is the deity's face. And so therefore also today we will display the face of Chenrezig. And this particular face of Chenrezig, this image comes from the time of the Dharma king Songtsen Gampo, who set up the self-arisen Jovo statue, and then it remained set up in this way until the Cultural Revolution, and during that time it was taken down and demolished, and later it was reinstated. And actually in the very beginning, when it was just there reinstated again, I was able to secretly have someone snuck in and take a picture of it. And so this is the picture that I've been offering to my disciples many years ago, since many times. I've offered many of these pictures to you, and you can receive this picture, can download it from the internet, and it's an extremely precious image of Chenrezig. And this is how he should appear in your mind. It is the face that you should look at and have appear in your mind. And if that face appears in your mind, then your generation stage practice, your deity practice, will become very clear. So this picture of Chenrezig's face is extremely precious, and I encourage all of you to use this as your main support of visualization.
like Makami, there's like a party and make a tower coming. Oh, don't let the dinner. Tajima, that I some was on good. Jam Masam, me, Kayam Masam, like about the seven Sunday, shut there. Captain Ranga sent the Melong Tower, Ranga seven will shut there. Jumati, oh, the Ranga sent the Melong Tower machine. Data year me by shutting me, take on oh, man, that I will count that I will drink over Mary. The command had done some touching body. The teenager got this ill on the Satan Shap Tamje, the Doma the same charity to your head.
And so when you practice the generation stage, the visualization of the deity, you look at the image of the deity, and then you recognize this is the deity. But then we don't even have to think about anything like that. You don't have to think in terms of, oh, this is the deity, this is a Buddha, and that's me, I'm looking at it. So don't even think in this dualistic way at all. Don't think about anything at all. Just without any thought about it, single-pointedly have it appear in your mind. And your mind is like a mirror. And in that moment, what appears to your mind is your own mind. So a deity is your own mind. So when you realize that your own mind is like a mirror, you realize that the image appearing in your mind, the Buddha, is inseparable from yourself. You are inseparable from the Buddha, from the deity. So don't think in terms of this is me and that's the deity, that's him, and so on. Don't think anything at all. So this image of Chenrezig is extremely precious. The face is very important. Chenrezig's arms and legs and all of that is not that important. It's enough if just the face clearly appears in your mind.
Hayadiwa Hong Bay, Amasoba, Wajada Savada Masoba, Wajada, Wang, Bobanga, Pame Pema, Pamle Pe, Mada, 被满他妈就别对吧？那都是，这些物件从的世界被满是，世界被满对吧？是七八的了，我这家就把被满去，上街上桥什么东西，他们用着就把嘞。让他们把今日的工作都干到我这个下就这个在这干了，在这个用也讲用嘛，这个下子用，那讲嘛个话这个下子嘛个讲话这那么些个下子。그 분야에 대해서 초기시를 따스를 진행도 되바 되더라 사실 어바면지 사람아 뭐 독도로 당대바 사 앙부여서가 사마자와 예니제니베 정화요베 선배 조기제 탈네들이 저바베게 다져서 저와지바는 걸로 용지베 배마가 나마지바 선배로 와시블로 이제베 낙여사 뭐 사라 급자다 그래서 이 조기저 사전 넘었잖아. 산제 탐제제 사 탐제제들 지레레 당저 장원이 잡아서 이제 레자베 상탑 나다르다 저와베 나마요 바가 뭐제제 탐제제 나마르베 베요도 뭐제 바다 메마토 거기 저 엄지바 저거 홍어 저거 다르고 toka uso davat dorsa tele ozer tebe namjije ne gobata ro shiba so ishisma sonje zeje zeje wa ni dotina kawa bobata kirana subsub da tamba jo mo aja awalo go jo da ba meta samaya da jana avi jaya ma ya awalo go jo da ba meta samaya da jana avi jaya 시바테니 산초과도 배양도 템바사도 템바르지 디타메온자 뭐죠 사가리어 대처가 와가라 뭐가 지레다 자와르만 코다지바 오베서 사마자 원베다 보험라다 소와 원베다 보험라다 소와 원베다 알로고라다 소와 원베다 게데라다 원베다 네베다다 자야소와 도제 제저 선지랑 로아주베 용데 용네 제다다 제단달랑 따도소 로마는 대지도도 좋은 권보 독재지 근더 차배 이시지 탐제 마르 존재바 닥소생지 랍더소
compassionate protector, embodiment of all pervasive wisdom, who liberates all beings without exception, please grant me your blessings.
도제 진짜 사제랑 도와줘서 제가 왕요 내게 다더라 대단하다 다들 소로지 예서 와서베 자와르는 와가고 봐도야 서요 소만은 저 시조서 저만 어저저 토만은 저 그때 토만은 저 수저서 과야 보다 보면은 로마도 또또 자제 버디라서 뭐 내가 로마도 골라도 있잖아 이게 봐가 봐서 저 생기랑 얘기도 되게 완전히 요한은 로마 원거도 뭐 봐도 이제 어디라도 봐서는 과야 또 봐야 얘가 그래서 엄마 저와서 다른 거다 앞에 그거다 정말 싫어요. 엄마 저와서 다른 거다 앞에 그거다 정말 싫어요. 엄마 저와서 Abeke de Samaya Jere almost water Gada Abeke de Samaya Jere almost water Gada Abeke de Samaya Jere Abeke de Samaya Jere almost one. Natang Hika de Samaya Jere almost one. Bagaba Abeke de Samaya Jere almost one. Babagaba Abeke de Samaya Jere Samaya Jere Gelongma, Jinzo Cherwale, Chetabami, Tavam, Tuba, Nada, Rimjo, Tabaranam, Nada, Yuda, not on the word in Baraboja, the Sawojo, Yokomaga, Konajiva, Chana Java, to remember on some Tati number there. No, that's Jesus now. Refuge about to wrap up chat. This is a kebata. Go Jesus now. Mariba top. This I care not don't so do good. Magomba one. They were took us about Kapaki to say by
Being thus initiated to karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the body, and all grasping at them are purified, and you have received the complete form empowerment. You are now empowered to practice the generation stage of visualizing your body as the deity, the union of appearance and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Nirmana Kaya.
So good, you know, so what about the Do Jin Zimba Gongso So Dani Rola Pindun De Maji Wango Ishi Che Mujukterwa Balato.
And for the speech empowerment, please repeat. Vajra holder, please heed me. For the benefit of beings, please grant me the great wisdom of the mantra empowerment, which is the source of all accomplishments.
Lopo da Kirana Larsa, Roboja Toka Hunter, some of the Jabba, Mamma, and he just said, I'm to some of the Jabba, so Kiranam, the Hell joke. Toker, you can harm some of the Jabba, so check up what the father giving her the Jido. Oh, man, pay me home. 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 Me ande Jido, Choling, Bagi, Zong Lachi, Bala, Niwar, Zedo So.
Conqueror, as I have become your disciple, please take me under your care.
Tom Din the Latalaja and Zalango, that was on Hajing to Tamita, the Yotima, the Telezo Pondetos also got it on Bezaya. The new Chava Papata, Taran, Tamsi, Managa Woodry, Managa Darling Johnson, Congo.
And I think that a rain of mantra syllables falls down and melts into the entire universe, yourself and all beings, and think that all sound has become the sound of, or transforms into the sound of the Mani mantra.
That Jesus now in Gordon support the map of Chatter Dita Jibata. So Jesus now Maliba top Malay Sanga Tong Song Jury about Gomala one. They were long because of the capacity to say by it all.
Being thus initiated, the karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the speech and all grasping at them are purified, and you have received a complete speech empowerment. You are now empowered to recite the deity's secret mantra, the union of sound and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Sambhogakaya.
라양 토끼지 난가도 소와지 반데 얘기도 도제 zemba gonsoso 다네 로라 핀동도 바워도제 롭부지 롬조땡지 기도소.
Then to receive the mind empowerment, please repeat. Vajra holder, please heed me for the benefit of beings. Courageous Vajra master, please cause the samadhi of the supreme mind to arise.
로보 살아서 또 성을 온 그런데 지라야 또 성을 지바 도주 거네 도주 사야 내서 바보 보가다 지바 던져 라라다 와다 간도 성 상태잖아 봐서 빠들 봐성 지라나 라서 내서나 준비 지라나 들류가 있음당 라파파 지내서가 고정속 예미대 좀 봐다 제베 본럽 이게 다 뜨는 냠발 좋아도 제
Being thus initiated, the karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the mind and all grasping at them are purified, and you have received a complete mind empowerment. You are now empowered to meditate on the nature of the deity's mind, the union of clarity and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Dharmakaya.
근데 다 진짜 반대 다 전데 그냥 참 랍데 그랬죠 사제지 뭐 semmo 때나 나도 어쨌든 뭐 semmo 아니 것들이 나파다 차고 뒤들이 이제 돌아 이제 돌아도 이제 상지 내가 뭐 뒤들은 아니 내용 뭐 데려들이 똑똑 로마다 뭐 뒤는 선 나파다 뒤가 되게 데려 냠발이 좋어서 대
So for the mind empowerment, in the Mahamudra teachings, it says, without a single thought, decisively look at your ultimate nature. So when mind looks at mind itself, and there is not a single thought in the mind, that state naturally, that natural state of mind is like space. And that is called the basis or the ground. And that ground is your Buddha nature. It is Buddha. So it is within that nature that you come to naturally abide if you do not cling to the thoughts in your mind. So if there are no thoughts in the mind, then you naturally rest within this space-like state, the natural state of your mind. And so during the mind empowerment, it is taught that we should rest within a state of meditation. So this is the state that we should rest within. Also in the Mahamudra teachings it says, when mind looks at mind, the multitude of thoughts ceases and you see the nature of the mind. So that is really it. So if you wonder what is the nature of the mind is just like space, and it transcends all concepts of being this or not this, existence and non-existence. It is the thought-free natural state. Milarepa said that. Milarepa said that when you realize that mind is inseparable from space, then you have seen the Dharmakaya. So whenever you see the space-like nature of the mind, that is when you see the Dharmakaya. And you heard the first gong. All thoughts have dissolved together with the sound. And there was no thought. And then you rested in that state. And then with the second gong, again, you arise. And so we should again arise and enter into the Hong, or visualizing the Hong. And so the mind should rest within a meditative state of Hong. That's really the essence of all meditation practice. So these two gongs represent the dissolution and then the reappearing. At this point, you should eat a blessing pill, a mani pill, of any lineage, any kind of blessing pill, and visualize that inside of that pill is a Shri syllable, which is Chenrezig syllable, or you can also visualize a Hung syllable. So now please eat such a blessing pill.
드리다니 다 와서 담책을 정시 바들이 드리 세 구독을 sla리리게는 sla망보 요리 옛날에 나는 슬라 탐지 투소 가리 대사로 당거리 슬라 탐지 이제 투소 산지 탐지가 소년 돈담을 된바 다다 셈사도 죽어들이 얘가 죽어든 통 두고 말이 죽어든 통 보너더니 딱하네 삼지 다 삼지 삼바든지 삼지를 용띠 가리네 삼지 가디샬라 주다요 말이지 나 가디샬라들 삼지요 말이 대회는 즉시 말이더니 호버사와 나디에 제말하기서는 호버지 이제 다서는 남도 영어데 남도 지바가 남도 통화된 나만들이 대하고는 탐지 이제 다 삼바는 이제 기초로 삼바천이 기초버리 이게 홍근의 속에서 적극적으로 사제 탐지 톡나 대로요 순고근 좋다 봐요 드리테가 다 왕소 탐색들 삼바탕 hin지리 다다 무서라는 그 상태게 나도 거를 강라지하고나데 감지들이 다다 산지대 왕소 탐색을 탐색은 진 차로도 쇼거를 삼지 두고 쇼거를 드리 주다도 삼지 드리다 왕대가 접종 드리 탐색에 드리 라키네도 캐리를 요리인데 지네서 기파데 지네도 샘도 가리리 딱 그러면 지네도 sak동때 동데 잘로 커대나 다 손하고 조커리 다 지네도 커대요 그러면 동다 세부들이 나기 이디 다 그거요 말이 너는 삼바체니 기체 모르대 담책거도 담책 삼바체니 해지 이 동다고 삼지 이디메 베세데 대라브리 대 technically 고면들이 사기통지 이제가 타바치면 도는 손을 탁직상 뛴推손 가슴 가면 만나면 소시면 동체성 하자 피용지 뭐 가슴 생기는 소리에서 비용이 이 제가 다 왕접성
At the end, as there is Samaya, and keeping the Samaya is the life force of the empowerment. And so on the outer level, there are many different deities that appear separately. But what we really need to think about and recognize is the life force, the heart or the mind of the deity. So that life force, what is that life force, which is the heart of the Buddha? It is the ultimate truth too. So on the ultimate level, it is the clear and empty mind, and the Dharmakaya. However, we are not able to see the Dharmakaya. In order to see the Dharmakaya, we need to cultivate love and compassion. The quality of that is the power of cultivating love is that when love arises, then there is no concept of a self. And when you think of yourself, then true love cannot arise. So one cancels out the other. And the root of samsara is self-grasping. Milarepa also said that samsara has no characteristics or a basis or a root. If it had one, it is just the thoughts arising in the mind. And that thought ultimately is this very first thought that always arises of me, I. And so for this reason, for all of you, it's very important to cultivate immeasurable love and compassion. And that is the heart, the mind of all the Buddhas of the 3 times and 10 directions. It is also represented by the syllable Hong. And also it is the most supreme protection sphere. So the life force of the empowerment is the Samaya, and the Samaya is love and compassion. And it is to cultivate it directly. So to give love to others, those who are around you, and who also care about you. So that love, that is the life force of the empowerment or the Samaya. And it's that love is the warmth that will melt the ice block. The warmth is love. So that completes the empowerment. And so in the end of the empowerment, we have taken this Samaya. And even though in the text it says that we take a commitment toward Chenrezig specifically, but what's important to recognize here is what is Chenrezig's mind. That is what you need to recognize. That's the deity. Even if you were to carry Chenrezig on your back with his 1,000 arms and 1,000 eyes and 11 heads, there might be some merit to it because you're thinking, I'm carrying Chenrezig on my back, but still, you are not actually purifying these defilements of dualistic grasping at self and other. So to purify that, the relative Samaya is love and compassion, and the ultimate Samaya is to be free of dualistic grasping. And that's actually the best, the supreme Samaya. And that Samaya really is encompassed by meditation practice. The Buddha said in the Great Liberation Sutra, he said that it is of a greater benefit to spend a single session in meditation than it is to save the lives of all the sentient beings in the 3 realms of samsara. So the benefits of meditation are actually inconceivable. So this completes the empowerment.
소주나 육배 산제당 상접선바 탐제달라 공소솔 다라랑 시제외 균전의 송대 제시 산총 닝보라 시제바드 라팍바치레제 예담제사 종생 제이종하 니레제드 진리스다와죠.
All the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas residing in the 10 directions, please heed me from today onwards until attaining the essence of enlightenment. I will take up the exalted deity, Noble Chenrezig, as my yidam, and I will recite his mantra daily to whatever extent I am able. Dashidele to all the Dhamma friends who were able to join the live stream for today's empowerment of the Noble Chenrezig. Also, I would like to thank the Vietnam Center who organized this empowerment, and also Garchen Rinpoche and all the disciples who joined the empowerment, because this empowerment is extremely important, beneficial, because the the antidote to suffering is the Dharma. And so therefore, thank you to the organizers and everyone who has joined this empowerment, Tashidelek.
On behalf of the organizer, Drikung Phuntsok Choling, and on behalf of all participants of the second online 100 million money retreat, we would like to say Tashidelek and thank you, Garchen Rinpoche, so much for your boundless compassion to bestow us 1,000 armed Chenrezig empowerment. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow to receive the precious teachings on 4 yogas of Mahamudras. So everyone, now you please can turn on your video and audio to say thank you to Garchen Rinpoche.
드린다다 다 참만이 차다와들 드리니라 쇼바 니네서 눈에 줘봐 도지지 드리 마양들이 눈에 족도 건도들이 안 고서 설비게 다가 니네들이 드리 마양 쇼크요 마양 게다고 그래 똑같이 머리 드리 마양들이 니네를 쇼크요 드리 다시 될 망고서 이제
And thank you for practicing the Nune and the Nune now during the Dawa month. And I myself also want to really join that, but now everybody is worried about me, so therefore I will at least join the Nune, if not the Nune, because I also need virtue. I need virtue because I have a lot of evil. I have done a lot wrong, and so for this reason, I'm also going to join the Nune. Many Dashidele to you.
Janjo Semjo Rinpoche Maje Banai Jijo Jeba Nyama Mebaya Kong Le Kong De Bewa Jo Ni Lapa Churo Labata Doma Tong Pechi Bosong Songe Ate Ante Upotan Tima La Shele Ni Roma Yumbatan Di Unibo Matong Ni Tengusun Tongan Uso Tongoyo Kekwan Uso Kore De Kati Yunga Yore Dili 제시면 별로 더지 롱거다 죽어버리 뭐 낀데다 그래 들이 줄이서 딱 본지 이거 말이지 들이 동네에 거래 그리고 그게 저도 요래 좀딱 본 통야 요래 들이 됐다 다와미 봐 요래 들이 참에 됐다 돌잖아.
And I'm so happy today to see the faces of all my Dharma friends. And also because I have some attachment to seeing you, because I haven't seen my older disciples for such a long time. But on the other hand, we should also consider that what we see today on the screen is the real seeing. We see our real form and we hear our real voice. Real because it will always be there. You can always see it on the video, on the recording, and you can always hear the voice. That's the meaning of when we say, may I attain the body, the Vajra body beyond birth and death. And that is the quality of the Dharmakaya and the Sambhogakaya. Don't grasp too much at the illusory material body. That will only lead to suffering. On the screen, that voice is always there and the form can always be seen. So in this way, we are always inseparable. Remember this.
Hey, you, come on! Everybody Saga, come on!
So much, Rinpoche.
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 Online Rinpoche.
Shibari! Shibari!
Rinpoche, thank you, Shonje. Thank you, Dosin Rinpoche.
Yes, it's got a question.